hate what you have become.
It's probably a good thing you killed him.
Ow!
It's all ages.
The worst part about watching movies can be the feeling that you're not watching the right one. There's too many masterpieces that I haven't seen. Too many unfaded posters on the Letterboxd Top 250 list. It's hard to comfort myself with my 20th rewatch of The Transformers the movie when Seven Samurai continues to haunt me, reminding me of my failure as a cinephile. But where's the fun in all of that? Maybe sometimes you need to refresh yourself with a good, steaming, hot pile of doggy doo-doo. So this week, I made it my mission to find the 5 worst movies of all time. At least the 5 worst that I could find. Now, I knew I could easily look up some established rating system or list of all the worst movies ever, but I don't want to do that. No, I'm going to be doing it exclusively off vibes. No internet, no algorithms, just physical searching. So I went to my local video store and picked out 5 movies based off cover, title, and description that I thought could be worthy of the worst. And after watching, I would rank them all based off how bad they really are. Movie review. The first movie I picked is a Japanese exploitation movie that asks, what if the world sunk, except Japan? It starts off with these 2 news reporters who are hanging out in this bar where apparently all of the other world's leaders like to hang out too. Their currencies and powers as nations have essentially been reduced to nothing. And millions of foreigners across the world are forced to seek refuge in the island nation, including Oscar-winning actor Jerry Cruising.
Samurai, Chambara, Kamikaze.
And all of the refugees are treated like garbage. Japan establishes the Gaijin attack force, and all the non-Japanese characters slowly descend into poverty, homelessness, and eventually deportation. The world leaders become lapdogs to the Japanese Prime Minister, especially China and South Korea. And this is kind of where my media literacy is stretched. I know that while this is a parody, it's still trying to satirize the strong sense of Japanese nationalism and superiority. But it was done in such an extreme way that I couldn't tell if it was just all for jokes or if they were indulging in that same superiority themselves. Either way, the ridiculousness and comedy of this film made me enjoy it a lot. When I first selected it and just looking at the cover and title, I thought this was going to be an early contender for worst film, but it ended up being one of my favorites. Oh, and in the final moment, Kim Jong-un takes off his mask and then all of Japan sinks. Before I give it my badness rating, I'm gonna try and guess and predict what the Letterboxd score is for each film. Personally, I actually really like this movie. It's one of those bad films that knows it's bad, so you're able to have a lot of fun while watching it. And I think all the people on Letterboxd, they're gonna give it the benefit of the doubt of a bad film. So my guess for the average rating is a 2.7. Let's see. Show me the money. Oh, it doesn't say. Are we gonna have to do this? Wait, how do I do this? 7 1 stars, 7 half stars. So that's 3.5. This is gonna be so embarrassing. 9, 26, 185. Wait, 185? Why am I counting this? Okay, so then I go 3.5 plus 13, right? Because there's 13 1 stars. Oh, God. 30 times 2.5. 42 times 3, 27 times 3.5. Okay, we're almost there. 504, 186 divided by 504. 104. Wait, no, I did this wrong. 504 divided by 186. 2.7. Come on. I was 0.1 off. 2.7. Most people are going to be like, oh, it was good, it was fun, but it wasn't actually good, you know, it's very cheaply made. But now, what I would actually give it for its badness rating. Like I was saying, it's a bad film, technically, but it knows what it is, and I don't think it's aspiring to do anything greater than that. I think the number one litmus test in terms of figuring out whether or not a movie is bad or good is how much it succeeds in what it is trying to do. And this movie is succeeding nearly perfectly exactly what it is setting out to do. So that's why I'm gonna give it a badness rating of 3 out of 10, meaning it sucks as a bad movie because it's actually a decent movie. It's pretty good. Next movie. After the high of the world sinks except Japan, I was really looking forward to the next movie, Monster Dog, especially because I wanted to enter it into the dog movie canon. Unfortunately, this movie is not making the cut. It randomly opens on a 5-minute music video of an original song for the film. So, okay, cool. That sequence was pretty well done. But then the badness really starts to seep in.
Very funny, very funny.
The movie looks fine, actually pretty good, but the audio is just 100% bad ADR.
The year 2000 is just around the corner. I am a recognized expert in electronic videos, and you are the hottest rock and roll star in the world.
And it doesn't help that the ADR performances are really terrible. It sounds like they just picked up random people off the street and asked them to deliver these lines. The bright side, at least, is that it can make it pretty funny to watch. At least it would have been if I didn't watch it alone at 10 o'clock at night while I was super tired. So anyway, the characters get stopped in the middle of the road by these 2 police officers who let them know that there have been a series of dog attacks. The character's like, okay, cool, whatever. And then they drive off. And then, of course, once the main characters leave, the officers get killed. But the first guy gets taken out off screen. Like, come on, I'm here to see a movie called Monster Dog, and all you're giving me is off-screen deaths. At least when the second officer gets killed, we get a super cheesy jump scare. And I'm gonna be honest, it kind of got me a little bit. Anyway, the main characters get to this big mansion, and then nothing really happens for the next hour. Besides, of course, the fact that the main character might be a werewolf. And then there's this prolonged dream sequence that does actually have a genuinely good scare. Then these creepy looking guys come up to the house and say that they need to find and kill Vincent Raven, who is the main character, because, like his father, he is a werewolf. Well, Vincent easily kills all the bad guys with a shotgun, and then the pack of wild dogs come again, including the monster dog. Vincent and 2 of the girls manage to escape, but while they're in the car, then they kill the dog and Vincent turns into a werewolf. My whole issue with this movie is that for a film titled Monster Dog, there's hardly any monster dog. We barely even see it. It's just randomly about and never really brought up. Instead, we spend like 20 minutes exploring Vincent's family history and the reason that he's turning into a werewolf. Why didn't you just call the movie Werewolf Vincent then? I think it knows it's bad, but it's definitely trying so hard to be good. If there are people out there that are choosing to watch Monster Dog, it's because they want to see some bloody, crazy dog killer movie. And that is not what this movie is. People that were going to see this movie were gravely disappointed, as was I. This movie was so goddamn boring. It was no Baxter, let me tell you. It holds no candle to Baxter. Baxter takes this movie. I think people hated this movie. I'm gonna guess 1.8. Okay, here we go. The moment of truth. Oh, 2.5? Damn, I'm way off. Bro, no way this person gave it 5 stars. Everybody loves to talk about TrollTube. Oh, okay. Other masterpiece? Wait, this guy made he did. Oh, so this guy is like the renowned terrible filmmaker. Rats? Night of the Terror? Oh my god, wait a minute. This completely changes how I think about this movie. Maybe it would have been fun if I had seen it with my friends. I was drawn to the cover and to the title, and that's why I picked it from Cinephile, but in terms of its badness grade, it's definitely down there. Or up there, I should say. Okay, but here's the thing. The music video is well done. It does, for the most part, look pretty good. Like, it looks professional. So it wasn't all bad. Definitely not the worst movie of all time. I'm gonna give it a badness rating of 7.5 out of 10. It now takes the lead and jumps over The World Sinks Except Japan as the worst film of all time so far. Next movie. In making a video about the worst movies of all time, how could I not include at least one entry in the Nicolas Cage DVD Hall of Fame? Of course, he's renowned for the dozens of straight-to-DVD movies he's made over the years. That's why I knew the face-off straight-to-DVD ripoffs would be a ripe location for finding terrible films. Nick Cage, Hayden Christensen on the cover, this one is gonna be terribly amazing. But to my chagrin, Nick Cage is barely in the movie. I was ripped off. How is a movie gonna be bad without Nick Cage in it? Based off the cover and the synopsis on the back, I was expecting this gallivanting journey across the land with Nick Cage and Christensen fighting in knight armor. And for the first 10 minutes, that's what you get. It's set during the Crusades, and the two main characters have this interesting back and forth and opposing philosophical beliefs. But then it just cuts to 3 years later in this unknown Far East. We don't want to specify any different region. The opening, which was actually kind of interesting and made me hopeful, is quickly squandered by, well, the rest of the movie. Once the real story begins, we learn that in the Far East, the king is dying and he appoints his youngest son to be his heir to the throne. The older brother, of course, is furious about this and kills the king, and then goes on a quest to find his younger brother and his younger sister. In some random bar, the two young children find a opium-addicted Hayden Christensen, who makes short work of about a dozen black guards, as they call them. And what doesn't really make any sense with this movie is that once they team up with Hayden Christensen, they're like, okay, now we need to go back and get my younger brother onto the throne. Like, what? So the plan was run away and then find some random guy who will single-handedly dethrone his older brother and put this young kid on the throne? Like, they just ran away to run back? Anyway, they magically teleport around the land, going from snow to sand in a few cuts and a few seconds. There's some artificial tension generated by separating the main characters, and there's also this really weird and questionable love interest between Christensen and the older sister. And then in some random cave, we run into Nicolas Cage!
To the damned, each and every one of us.
After some resistance, they agree to join forces again, and then the older brother comes and they have this grand final confrontation. Nick Cage's wife dies, motivating him to fight, and then the older sister gets stabbed, motivating Hayden Christensen to fight. Really good character development. Anyway, he kills the evil brother, and then the little kid is appointed king. Yay! Also, in this whole movie, they're constantly saying how this young kid is gonna be such a great leader, even though he literally shows zero possible traits or examples or actions that would, label him as a great leader. In fact, he seems like pretty eager to do it. It makes me like, why isn't this movie attacking the cis? Regardless of how questionable, cheesy, and not really making any sense this movie is, it's just too well made to be considered anywhere close to the worst movie of all time. They put a lot of money into this film, and it shows. The action is pretty decent. It looks good. The performances aren't all terrible. And to be honest, when the action was actioning, I had a good time. Okay, here's the thing about Outcast. This was clearly, here, I'm blocking the reviews. This was clearly made in a time, 2014. Okay, yeah, look. The #1 selling Blu-ray of all time came out in 2014. So we're looking at roughly the peak of Blu-ray sales with this movie Outcast. I don't think this had any sort of theatrical distribution. Okay, 5 million, yeah. And it was only international. But for the time, as a straight-to-DVD movie, I'd say it's actually better than most. But knowing Letterboxd and knowing the whole, atmosphere behind Christensen and Cage, I'm like almost certain that this movie is gonna have a terrible score. My guess is 2.4. Dude, I need to watch more of this Claudio Fragasso. I didn't realize that he was the goat of shit. Moment of truth. 2.4. Oh, really? That makes no sense that this is the lowest. See, that just goes to show how fucking stupid Letterboxd is, because clearly those other two movies are significantly, technically worse than this. But it's just like the whole, context and packaging of the films that change the bell curve. This movie being 2. Wow. I really thought it would be higher because it's not. Okay, I guess it's kind of racist. And sexist. But yeah. The world sinks except Japan was freaking racist. That was actually a theme with a lot of these movies. I guess when you watch terrible movies, a lot of them are, this movie is like the same level as The Working Man, which fucking makes $50 million or more at the box office. Outcast 2014 budget. 25 million? 5% Rotten Tomatoes. Oh my God, maybe I have no good opinions. Oh, but look at this. See, 5. The people know what's up. Poor Hayden Christensen, man. He can't catch a break. Outcast, I'm giving 5 out of 10. Like the score suggests, it is straight down the middle. Kind of the quintessential straight-to-DVD movie. Next movie.
the last time we go swimming together?
Oh God. So I picked this film because it laid beautifully in the shithole section, and I guess the people at Cinephile are really good at curating their shelves because this was terrible.
Talk about Fiddles has left me a my ticket.
The movie is kind of like a one-person play. Whoopi Goldberg comes to her apartment at night and does her best to prevent herself from being bored. She has a pet owl and a fish, and I kid you not, nothing happens in this film for at least 20 minutes, besides her almost flushing down her goldfish down her tub drain. That was honestly the highlight of the whole film. Whoopi is doing her absolute best with this terrible script. She has to do like a multitude of all these different accents.
Of New Delhi. It's very funny.
I'm sure it was pitched to her as this sort of like tour de force performance where she's gonna be able to show off all of her range as an actor, but it's kind of just like a fever dream schizophrenic episode where nothing really happens for an hour and 20 minutes besides Whoopi Goldberg talking into a phone to no one. This movie does not fall into the it's so bad it's good, because those other movies do have crazy, interesting, funny things happening, whereas this movie doesn't have anything happening. Elliot Gould randomly shows up in this movie for like 5 minutes, breathing in some life into it, but he leaves way too soon, farted out of the room by Whoopi. Oh, and in the end, it turns out the phone has been dead for 2 months, and really she's just crazy. She also happens to kill the phone guy in like 2 seconds.
You killed me for a telephone!
But I mean, hey, at least I didn't see the twist coming, kind of. I know I was saying Monster Dog was bad, but Jesus Christ, dude, the telephone. Poor Whoopi, man. Okay, guys, I saw the letterbox score. Fuck. I was gonna guess lower. I saw it was 2.7. I ruined this whole challenge. I was gonna guess probably like 2.2. The fact that everything is scoring like 0.5, at least 0.5 higher than Outcast is crazy. It's probably just because more people have seen Outcast. See, 808. Bro, why am I getting so defensive of Outcast? See, yeah, 8,000, 9,000. Monster Dog? 3,000. See, but that was directed by the GOAT, though. Claudio Fragasso. The GOAT of shit. Bro, look at the movies Elliot Gould has been in. Oh my god, and he was in fucking The Telephone. I just think the script was bad, and she was asked to do so many crazy things. Like, you know what? This guy does have a good point. Sometimes you think that cinema has exhausted any and all new experiences, and that there's nothing daring or original left to see. And then a movie features a scene with Whoopi Goldberg farting on Elliot Gould after delivering a racist monologue in fake Japanese to audience of no one. And once again, your faith in the magic of cinema is restored. You know what? That is kind of spot on. For its swift 78-minute runtime, I was probably bored for 60 of them. I could not recommend this movie to anyone. So for that reason, it's gonna get a really high badness score, 8 out of 10. That's right. This movie, 8 out of 10, jumps above Monster Dog, which was at 7.5, to be our new worst movie of all time. For now. Next movie. This was the last movie that I picked out. And it is the last movie that I saw. It is none other than Bert Reynolds' The Bayou's Biggest Bad Boys Back to the Good Old Rockin', Talkin', Knock'em, Sock'em Robots, baby. I actually loved this movie. I knew it wouldn't necessarily be one of the worst movies of all time just because it was Burt Reynolds at his peak Burt Reynoldsing in the 70s. So it was a movie that was designed to make money, you know, it was going to be a blockbuster. So they had to make it at least up to a certain level of competence. But I just couldn't resist picking it. I mean, look at the cover. Look at the tagline. Plus, I had Burt Reynolds in my mind already from the Boogie Nights video that I made a few weeks ago. And boy, I was not disappointed. Dunston County in Louisiana has turned into a shithole, and the governor of Louisiana is on the hot seat because of it. The Fed sends an agent down to help clean up the county of the evil Bama McCall, and their plan is to recruit Gator McCluskey. God tier names, by the way. He goes undercover into Bama's gang to try to scoop up some evidence to hopefully put him behind bars. Simple. We've seen this movie 1,000 times. While it is traditional, what sets this film apart is just the Burt Reynolds of it all. He's cheesing, he's fake laughing, he's doing crazy ass stunts. It was directed by Burt, stars Burt, it's just Burt all over. And for all of its cheese, I loved it. It seemed like one of those movies that like Quentin Tarantino would cite as inspiration for one of his characters in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something. Like one of these artifacts of a different era of Hollywood. Now I gotta admit, the second half of the film really drags, especially when you compare it to the first half, which is pretty exhilarating and fun. It's definitely aged, you know, 1976, and it has a few questionable decisions, but still, I thought it was definitely worth the watch. Like, there was this one shot of the chopper racing through the bayou, chasing Bert on his motorboat, and I was like, holy fucking shit, this is better than Mission Impossible. I think this movie probably has the highest Letterboxd score out of all of the ones we've seen so far. I'm gonna venture into some dangerous territory. I'm gonna guess 3.0. I was gonna go 3.1, but I just can't do it. Gator, come on. Oh, 0.1 away. Oh, but this is the highest rated movie though. I was right about that. Wow, so more people have seen Outcast than Gator. I think you should watch this movie, but I think you should only watch the first 25 minutes, because the first 25 minutes are straight up like 4.5 out of 5, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. They are like really good action set pieces. The rest after that, so it like starts at a 4.5 and then it just like gradually cruises down to, I guess, eventually a 2.9. I thought it would be more like a 3, but to be honest, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was going to be bad, but it was not bad. This review is perfect. Belongs in the pantheon of incredibly lazy, borderline offensive, sturdily crafted, well made, and massively entertaining action comedy sequels right alongside Beverly Hills Cop 2 or Lethal Weapon 3. Very well said, Mr. Matt Lynch. Yeah, so I picked it just because this poster was wild. I was like, whoa, Bert Reynolds is Gator? And then it had like a tagline, the Bayou's best good boy is back in action, or something crazy like that. So I was like, this movie's gonna be crazy, and it kind of was. It was up there with The World Sinks Except Japan in terms of like me actually enjoying it as a movie. So I'm gonna give it a badness score of 4 out of 10. And I'm gonna bring Japan's badness score to 4 out of 10 as well. Actually, I'm gonna bring Japan's down all the way to 4.5 out of 10 now that I think about it. Gator is a 4 out of 10. It is the best movie that I saw out of this bunch. And that means the worst film of all time that I've watched so far goes to The Telephone. Congratulations, Telephone. And the reason I've been saying so far is because I'm gonna make this into a series. I really enjoyed going to Cinephile, picking out 5 random movies that I'd never heard of, and not using my phone at all, just using my eyes and my brain and my fingertips, feeling and looking at all the different covers and titles and picking out the ones that I wanted to see. So yeah, I enjoyed really doing that, and I think it will be a fun adventure trying to find the worst film of all time. It's gonna be a bummer because that means I can't watch anything good. Well, I can still watch good stuff, but not for this series. But I'm also gonna find films that I really enjoy, like Gator and The World Sinks Except Japan. So it's gonna be a good time. Hope you stick around. With that being said, please subscribe. I love you all. If you're still watching this, oh yeah, follow my Letterboxd.